Finally, and this is just the appendix at this point, we look back at it all and say, what does it mean? Overall, could life have taken a different path? Well, from my chemical perspective, the path that I've described to you tonight is rooted in the properties of the periodic table. So as long as we have a universe in which we have this periodic table and these laws, I would predict on other planets there would be things that would be very similar happening. So the idea is, from the chemical perspective, I think of the idea of perspective in art and what's called anamorphosis. Anamorphosis is shown in this Holbein painting. If you change your perspective, if you look at the painting head on, you have this weird smudge at the bottom. You're like, what is that? Until you walk around to the side and you realize, oh, he painted a skull in the painting for his own purposes. But for whatever reason he did that, he painted the skull so that you could only see it from a certain perspective. If you change your perspective, you see a new image. And by the way, Rothko's art is very much, feels to me like this. You walk around it. It's not enough to see it printed on a calendar. You have to see it the way he wanted it to be seen. And you are part of the experience. The place where you're standing is as important as the artwork itself. So I'm just saying that I look at life from a different angle than Gould. And so I come to a different conclusion. Gould emphasizes random gene flow and contingent mistakes. I don't deny those. I think that those are important, but they are not the most important thing. He looked at a biological angle, and he looked from his perspective. But as I see it, the limits of physics and chemistry constrain the randomness of DNA. And some of those limits are represented in the periodic table that you have in front of you. So as life changed, it followed this chemical sequence. It moved along those arrows. And I think the best way to talk about those is to tell the story. And so that's what's in the book. The book is the story of those 4 billion years. So you'll see headlines like this. Chance, how randomness rules our world, right? Is evolution predictable? You look at that, and what do you think it's going to say? You think it's going to say no. Well, you open it up and look at the article, and you find that it actually says, in most ways, yes. So I just want to encourage you, get past the headline. The headline writers might not always know what's actually in the article, because if you read this article, you find that, well, you have a different perspective, and you can look at things a different way. And it looks like that you're stuck between, we're on a shoreline, sort of, between cosmos and chaos, and we can, in some way, choose how we look at it. So my perspective in 7 words, the periodic table made life's path predictable. And the DIY here is yours. It's your life. You have it. It's your own, it's your fundamental possession. And these questions remain open. Many of these rules some of these rules might even be knocked down. But I think that there will be an ordered sequence that we can understand. And what is most amazing to me is that we can tell this story at all, even if we tell it badly, even if we get some part of it wrong. The fact is we live in a predictable world, a world that's predictable enough that we can make meaningful choices. And so it seems like we are perched between 2 perspectives at what the Celtics would call a thin place. And a predictable world is one we can understand and in which we can make meaningful choices. So, pursue wisdom, choose wisely. And thank you so much for listening. This was a long night, longer than a regular class period, but I want to thank you for your attention so much, and I'll take any questions if you have any.